Hey everyone. So, yeah, it's been a few days now since Faction Wargames, as we'd like to call it, has been launched on Eve Echoes. And I say we'd like to call it because it doesn't really play like Faction Wargames. Now, I've seen a lot of criticism about this variation of Faction Wargames on Discord and YouTube and, this, that, and the other. People have been complaining a lot about Faction Wargames. But I chose I'm not gonna weigh into this debate because I didn't have the time nor the energy for the past couple of days this week to even give it a try out. I'd get home, burnt out, didn't even have like an ounce of energy to be able to press a quick response button in PvP. So I'm just gonna hold off until the weekend. Lucky for me though, I finish early on Fridays, so I figured this afternoon jump into Faction Wargames or Relics Scramble and see what people's criticism are really about firsthand. Because I've read the criticism, but sometimes you don't know if it's just somebody complaining, do you? So I decided I was going to jump in. So I'm going to start off this video by laying down the foundations, what my expectations were going into this, just so you can see my perspective. So what were my expectations, Hale? The expectation was that you'd have some kind of anomaly, okay? So you go into a conflict system and you have to scan down a anomaly, a special kind of anomaly, and go through an acceleration gate. That acceleration gate would be there to block certain size ships from passing through. So if you were going to a medium anomaly, battleships and carriers, for example, would not be able to take part in that particular arena fight. It just wouldn't be able to. That's what I was expecting. And what I was also expecting was there to not really be any NPCs, or if there was, not particularly many, because it was meant to be a PvP zone, whereby you go in and you try to kick out whoever's already in there. And if the people already in there are your faction, then perfect, you sit around with them and defend it for when someone does come around and try to kick you out there. With like my understanding being that there's going to be like a constant changing of hands, people getting destroyed, flying back to station, jumping in another ship, and then trying to dislodge the people that are already there, camping the gate. Not the gate, the point, the scanner post, whatever we call it. That was my expectation. So even a individual pilot, not connected to anybody whatsoever, going in without a fleet, would still be able to jump in, gank a ship maybe, then die, come back, gank a ship maybe, then die, whatever it may be. And because of how it was structured, it stated that you got loyalty points for killing ships of other factions. So it's like, why? So it doesn't even matter at that point if you cannot hold the point. The fact that you are successfully defeating ships from other factions would still get you those points. That was my false understanding going into Faction Wargames. And yes, I need to stop calling it Faction Wargames. It's called Relics Scramble. And going forwards, I'm going to call it Relics Scramble because it does not even closely represent the sort of Faction Wargames that we were hoping for, which was most likely what I'd just described. So what are people's criticisms? And before I address those, I'm just going to play in the background the video clip of me starting out in Faction Wargames, because I pre-recorded this, of course. I can't physically talk and play the game at the same time. Just bad things will happen. So here I am. I'm in an exploration frigate, jumping into the low-sec system that's currently at war, and as you can see, this standing system is a little bit bugged. That doesn't matter. We're not here to complain about local and standing systems being a bit bugged depending on which mode you put it into. So, I warp into this system. I do a little bit of scanning. I determine where the anomalies are. At this point in time, I didn't even notice what the deal was with the actual anomalies within the system. I was not looking at them. All I did was scan down the anomalies, and that was about it really. And if we skip ahead past the scanning segment, I warp to within 100 kilometers of one of the anomalies, which was a medium one, which I thought, that's perfect. In the system next door, I've got a bunch of medium-sized ships. So a Prophecy and a Gila. What was the other one? What's the upgraded version of the Gila? I think it's the Chameleon. Anyway, I had those 3 medium-sized ships next door, so I was like, perfect. I'll jump in and, you know, do one of these medium anomalies. Now, yes, I did notice that these are sleepers, but I thought I'll give it a go anyway. Maybe people are over-exaggerating how dangerous these sleepers are. You know, you've got to test these things for yourself before you can report on them. So I'm like, okay, let's head back to the system that I've chosen to dock in nearby and have a look. This is where I did the wrong thing and closed it instead of just loading the next one. Give us a sec, guys. That's the one that we wanted. Okay, we can carry on playing this bit now. This is me learning how to do things on OBS. So, here we are. I'm in a Prophecy this time. It's pretty well tanked. You know, I've got an armor repairer because it's half PvE, half PvP. How the hell do you fit it, you know? So, I'm going in solo, so I've got an armor repairer and a damage control unit. Feel free to complain about my fitting in the comment section below, because I know it's bad. Okay, I'm no expert with these things. So anyway, fully tanked Prophecy. I'm like, if a medium ship is going to be able to tank it, it's going to be something like a Prophecy or Gila. Prophecy costs less, so let's take the Prophecy. So here we go, and this is where I notice, as you can see on the right hand side, Sleeper Large, Anomaly, Medium Sleeper Relics. Yeah, Sleeper Large Relics, not Anomaly. This is my dyslexia kicking in, by the way, guys. It doesn't actually say Sleeper Large Anomaly. That's just my dyslexia, just, you know, playing around with me. At this point, I'm like, okay, I want to make sure I actually go down to one of the scanned ones, since they're definitely medium. And, of course, there's a higher chance that I actually get to hold it before someone ganks me, because whichever one I land on, there's going to be NPCs anyway. Let's make it an easier time for myself. So, the plan here, warp in, get rid of any sleepers that I can, warp out, warp in, get rid of them. You know how this bit goes, you know how it goes. But, yeah, as you can probably expect, elite sleepers completely wreck me. It's not the first time that I've lost a ship to sleepers. I mean, you know, Kalevala Expanse, Cobalt Edge. These things are to be expected in places. But this is the bit that really seems to get people at the moment. What do you think about this scenario that you're seeing playing out before your eyes? Is this a PvP event? Is this a PvP zone? Is this somewhere whereby you can just jump into an arena and brawl it out with random players for, you know, the 10-15 minutes that you've got, maybe even a couple of hours with constant coming and going? Is this what you expected? Because it's not what I expected. This is just a PvE zone that you have to defend. This might as well be like the same as those low-sec missions. I've forgotten what you call them now. The storylines. There we go. This might as well be the storyline missions, but instead of getting ISK in certain faction modules, you get loyalty points. I mean, functionally, what's the difference between storyline missions and these anomalies, apart from the fact that you can actually clear the storyline missions? Let me know in the comment section. Yeah, so, improvements. What improvements? And I'm just going to set that on a loop. Not technically on a loop, unless I can find the loop button while I'm talking. Is that it there? Yeah. A and B. Okay, I'm not entirely sure that I actually hit the right button there. But anyway. I think it's that one. There we go. You guys are... Oh, no. Wrong button. You guys are learning firsthand just how bad I am with OBS. I've got a lot of learning to do. But what have people's suggestions been to actually improve this scenario? Well, first and foremost, either get rid of all of the sleepers or just nerf them all the way down so there's only 3 or 4 of them. Because what we wanted was a PvP zone. What we wanted was a spot whereby players can just not huddle together, you know what I mean, like come together. So You log into the game, you're like, okay, I've got 20 minutes. I want some PvP. I don't care if I die. I just want to get some PvP in a guaranteed PvP zone. So I'm going to head over to a nearby conflict system, which this one was 9 jumps from Jita. So that's why I chose it. I thought, if I'm going to get a system whereby there's active players and get a bit of to-in and throw-in, it'll be one that's close to Jita, won't it? But anyway, people's suggestions that I've seen so far, which I seem to concur with, is nerf or remove the sleepers. We want people to actually go to these locations, camp them, and then fight it out. That's the whole point of this. You want people to be like drawn, like magnetically drawn towards these locations to fight it out. That's what we want. And the next bit goes back to warp acceleration gates. What we need is warp acceleration gates that lock the tonnage of the ships that can go through. So there'll be nothing stopping, say, frigates from entering one of the large ones, which will be intended for battleships. But there will be something stopping battleships from showing up to the medium or the small ones, so that you get that variety in ships, in hulls. And if we saw that apply for the small anomalies, we might actually see like some weird, crazy stuff happen. Like, let's say, for example, what are they called? Logistics frigates. When was the last time you saw one of those shitty logistics frigates actually used? I mean, if you put those acceleration gates in, you unlock a lot of different gameplay. And yes, you're about to see me explode, probably for the second time. I wonder if the autoplay is actually set up properly yet. I don't know. But anyway, those are the two main things. Warp acceleration gates and, you know, just remove the sleepers altogether. One thing I'd be interested to see as well is if we get these warp acceleration gates, would they ban capitals from the large ones? Or would they include capitals in the large ones? Because as it stands at the moment, these things are exclusively in low sec, as far as I can tell. I mean, let me know in the comment section below if you've found any that are in high sec. I only sampled about 5 or 6 as I was going down the list, and all the ones that I found were in low sec. There might be some in high, but I'd like to see some in high, because as it stands at the moment, there is nothing stopping you, okay, apart from the fact that you might lose your capital ship. There is nothing stopping you from just bringing your capital ship down to low sec, or up to low sec, whichever direction it may be you're coming from, high sec or low. You know, if you've got a Science C, you'll be most likely coming from high sec. There's nothing stopping you from just flying your capital ship into one of these anomalies, because again, there's no warp acceleration gate, and a capital can probably just wipe all of those NPCs, you know, just easily. I would entirely expect it, especially a Science C. Warping at 100, just wipe them all, micro warp drive down to the middle and start camping. I mean, yeah, technically you could do that as solo content, but it's a very expensive ship to lose just for, you know, Relics Scramble, as it were. You have to bear in mind, all we're getting at the moment is loyalty points. I've not actually looked yet to see what the rewards are, you know, what the new loyalty point rewards are. If there are any new ones, again, I've not actually looked. But this, I'm not really engaging with this per se. When it comes to PvP content, because I know I've seen a couple of comments in the past, hell, you need to get into PvP content, and believe me, I'm trying. It's just usually when I log into the game, I have like no energy left whatsoever. That's usually the deciding factor as to whether or not I do PvP. And I think I was holding off. And I know I'm going off on a bit of a ramble now. This is me talking more about me now than I am about the game. But I was holding off on getting into PvP content because I wanted to see what Faction Wargames was like. I wanted to actually try and be a regular, like, uploader for Faction Wargames. You know, have those low effort music videos where I just take music from somewhere else, fast forward some gameplay, crop some of it down into shorts, because as you might have seen in a couple of videos in the past, I've already set up my template I've already set up my PvP template for being able to quickly and efficiently edit down any PvP footage into a short. Because I did that probably back in, when was it that Kalevala Expanse was released? Was it February? Because I set up that template all the way back then. I'll put a link in the video description if I remember for that particular short. So I'm already prepared to do PvP content. It's just having the energy to actually do PvP without fat fingering all the wrong buttons with what are honestly not even fat fingers. Because that's what I'm like. But yeah, holding off for Faction Wargames, just obviously it was a bad call. It was a bad call on my part. What I'm probably best doing is just heading over to Kalevala. Or what's the other one? Cobalt Edge, maybe? I'll have to figure this out. Because I'm not just going to roam around someone's space endlessly hoping to gank some poor miner. No. When I do PvP, I want it to be, dedicated PvP zone with constant coming and throwing. I've already explained that enough. But anyway, I'm going to cut the video there before I honestly run out of things to say and just turn into the mode that, is inevitable. It's inevitable, especially with me at times. So, thank you again for watching, everyone. Let me know in the comments section, what would you like to see improved with the Relics Scramble? Again, I'm refusing to call it Faction Wargames at the moment. What would you like to see improved with Relics Scramble? Or are you happy with Relics Scramble? I mean, if you're going in with a fleet of people and you're properly coordinated, then there's no problem whatsoever with Relics Scramble, maybe from your point of view. Let me know. Let me know. I'm not here to just rake on it and say, it doesn't work for me, so I hate it and you should hate it too. No, let me know if you actually enjoy it and why you enjoy it. Because somebody out there has got to be enjoying this, surely. There's always a case. There's always a user case. But again, let us know in the video's comments. I was going to say the description of the video then. How would you guys manage to get in the description? That'd be fun. Anyway, thanks again for watching, everyone. And like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.